Hello, my name is Jeff Jamilo, and today I'm going to talk about healing from narcissistic abuse. Let's first get some definitions out there for, what is a narcissist? Because a narcissist is a person who's abusing you. And right from the dictionary, number one, a person who overly self-involved and often vain and selfish. Number two, a person who has narcissistic personality disorder. Oh, psychiatry. 3, a psychoanalysis. In other words, someone's already been diagnosed and psychoanalyzed to have this. And this person is a person who exhibits narcissism, deriving erotic gratification from the administration of their own physical or mental attributes. In other words, you overly think about something about yourself, whether it be I'm tall, whether it be, I'm handsome, whatever, or whether it be mentally, I'm better than everybody else, I'm better than you, kind of thing. So that's interesting. That's interesting because that definition, as creepy as it sounds, is actually a pretty interesting definition, because it does say that they're getting erotic gratification from doing it, which is very funny. Oddly enough, what popped in my head actually was the movie Blade, where he gets caught and he's in an office and the doctor's talking to him about, well, what happens when you get all you get an erection from just hearing the blood, thinking of the blood, and that's what popped into my mind. I'm sorry that visual is in your head, but it's very interesting because they might be related, because generally a narcissistic is after your energy, which is a type of energy vampire. It may not be a blood vampire, but it's an energy vampire. Anyway, that's interesting because that definition, we're going to go with number 2. It's a person who has narcissistic personality disorder. So I looked up the definition for that. A narcissistic personality disorder. One definition for that. It's a personality disorder characterized by extreme self-centeredness, self-absorbedness, and fantasies involving unrealistic goals, an excessive need for attention and admiration, and a disturbing interpersonal relationships. It's interesting that they go into detail about what the disturbed relationships are. But the key word there is excessive. Throughout my life, excessive and extreme. Because in the past, I could read this definition and say, I have those tendencies. Do I? The extreme. Excessive. My logic is I go over and I'm selfish once, and it's like it bothers me for a long time. So clearly, none of this is me. Probably none of it's you if you're listening to this. But you are a victim of what this person did to you. What's interesting about narcissists is it's very damaging actually to you. You don't really realize they kind of suck you in. I like to actually think them as a vampire, but more of an energy vampire, to where anything you do is just wrong. For some reason, it's wrong, and they're always right. It also means that you need them. You can't survive without me. I don't know. I'm an independent person. I've been doing it for years. Not likely. But that's what they portray, and that's what they portray to others, that you can't do anything without them. So they'll actually portray to other people that, hey, Jeff, you can't do anything without me. And they'll tell people, oh, no, he couldn't even tie a shoe without me. I had Let me tell a brief story. And this is a story of Annette, my first wife. Oddly enough, there's twice I've actually had narcissists in my life. The first one was an overt one, which was Annette. And Jessica was the second one, which is a covert narcissist. God was testing me both times. I failed the first one. And I'll tell you the story about Annette. You can look at my whole story. It's listed as the first one episode. It's a long one, but it goes through my entire life. And Annette is the one I'm referring to. And that is, we got together. We're supposed to probably be, I was supposed to have bailed out actually less than 6 months, more than likely. But she was from Canada, so therefore we had to go through immigration process to get her to come to America, where I live. So we did the fiancé route, where you wait a year. So that kind of gave me a year to, vet, while the government vetted her out, that I vet her out. And realistically, I probably should have threw her back into the pond and walked away. I think my parents actually were betting that I was going to throw her out and bet away, but they didn't. But I didn't. So yeah, I did get married, but usually right about a couple weeks before that, her narcissistic streak went crazy. I just assumed it was wedding jitters or something. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's just a fluke. Oh, was I wrong? Was I wrong? It literally continued for years, like 6-7 years. And throughout this process, we moved. She was not happy, and she would systematically try to blow my life up every single day. Toward the end, she would literally be calling my employer, the person that that employs us, so that we can actually have money to actually live, and try to get me fired all the time. To the point where when I finally left her and said, I'm done, I'm out of here, deuces, I left. I said, I'm done. So that's the only thing you can do with a narcissist is walk away. No contact. And when I walked away, what's interesting, what happened? Next job after that, somehow I got fired. My boss got a call and I got fired. Gee, I wonder who got a call from. Was it from my ex-wife? Was she painting herself to be a saint again? And I'm an ass? Well, I don't know. I just know I hope my boss gets good karma on that one. But the point is a narcissist always likes to have you under your finger. They like to take advantage of your life. To them, remember you are, they lack empathy. You probably have all the empathy in the world. They have none. So to them, you're just a source of energy and money, finances, whatever. You're just a source. You're just an energy. You're just an ATM machine for energy or wall outlet. That's all you are. And to be honest with you, when you finally decide to wake up and cut them off and not talk to them ever again, they'll just move on to somebody else. What I found to be interesting is, I think it was James Barr, who was in charge of the justice system. He did a report and said, basically, there's 2 disorders that are not fixable by psychiatry. One of them is narcissistic personality disorder, and the other one is pedophilia. It can't be fixed. So the only thing you can do is either incarcerate them or take care of things. I do believe in the new earth that slowly they'll be getting rid of. The Lord will take care of that via karma or street justice. Pick it where you want to go. Because remember these people, they do this to a lot of people. That's not just you. You just you look at it and say, hey, it's just me, But what's really sinister about it is it doesn't necessarily have to be someone you've dated. It could be your family. My brother's a narcissist. You got family members. Usually it could be a brother, could be a sister, could be a mother, father, could be a friend, could be a boss. Usually you don't get that many bosses because of lawsuits. It has to have a real personal relationship, because that's what's really they're living off of is your relationship. Oh, you don't want to hurt this, do you? And that's why they kind of keep dragging you in. Have you ever seen, I think it's Seinfeld? Not Seinfeld. Everything About Raymond. The mother narcissist. It's basically, it's very much favoritism. And I think actually Raymond actually has a touch of narcissism in him also. Because it's always about him, but it's really not, he doesn't think it's about him, but his mother does think it's about him. So that's why I'm pretty sure the mother, yeah, that's narcissism there. But as I said, from that particular story, that Annette really ran me through the ringer. To the point where literally 10 years later, I thought well, let me backtrack a little bit. When I left Annette, I went to move in with my brother. It's all in my story. And 6 months later, I finally got a job. I was working. And it was a stressful job, and I was working and drinking. So whether I was drinking because of job-related stress or, and I'm talking some industrial drinking. I'm talking 24-pack of beer a night just to go to sleep at night. And did it have to do with Annette? I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I was just glad to be free. There's nothing, the day I decided I was leaving, I was getting on a bus and I was leaving and I wasn't coming back. I was done. Annette made two mistakes. Actually, she let me leave. And second of all, she forgot to empty the $200 out of my wallet. Her favorite habit was stealing all the money, and pretending it's all hers, even though she never worked for any of it. So she forgot to take it for what little money I could get, and I was out of there. Bus ticket, Indiana. So from Florida, I went to Indiana. Lived with my brother for 6 months. He kindly let me in, but he's also a narcissist. I didn't notice that till much later. You can tell by the way he acts. But regardless, it's not actually about him, oddly enough. So literally, as I went through this period of drinking, literally I spent probably about 2 years drinking every day. Then I finally got a reliable job. A job that I can have an apartment. Better, because when I got an apartment, that's when Jessica came in my life. Oddly enough, I met Jessica at an extended stay because I was on a contract. But it's all in my story if you want to go see it. Jessica was a very interesting soul because she drank. So, a drinker and a drinker will drink. So we would drink, and then she finally moved in. We drank more and more and more. But she was also a narcissist. Except the only difference is she was a covert narcissist. So everything was behind your back kind of thing. And what's interesting is what really pinned her off on me is, if looking back, I was pretty naive when I got into the relationship. I'll tell you right now. I just wanted some attention, maybe someone to listen a little bit. That's it. I had very low expectations for a relationship, and that's a problem because I deserve better than that. I'll be honest with you. I deserve what I give them, and I gave them a lot. So I'll listen to all their problems. I'll help them. I'll do whatever. I'll financially help, whatever. I do this. And the problem is it's not reciprocated back to me. And the Lord basically told me, I said, yeah, we're going to fix this. And that is the one thing that needs to be fixed in my life, is that I have to be able to accept back in and receive the same thing that I give. So my next relationships are going to be very interesting because I can only give them what they give me. So you give me nothing, I give you nothing. It's against my general character because, I like to be helpful. But law of balance, I have to actually balance all this out over my life. So I have no choice but to do certain things. But Jessica, as I said, she decided one day that she was not happy and she moved out. Well, I'm sorry, she left. And left her stuff there for 6 months, which is a psychological ploy to, you need me. I was moving, and one thing I did do is I decided I wanted to have a dog. It was a husky. I did get one. Amy and a dog, been happy ever since. My therapy dog. And oddly enough, she's actually also the reason why I didn't actually drink. Because A, I didn't want to. B, because of my dog. Because I was on the second floor and I didn't want to take her for a walk in crutches in case I, had a couple drinks and fell down the stairs. So indirectly, she's my alcohol-free dog. The most we and her will do is have a wine cooler every now and again. And only she can't take her liquor, so I know. Pet abuse. Anyway, now what's interesting about the Jessica story is it was more covert. But Lord was testing me again. Hey, did you recognize this? I clearly failed because I should have bailed out literally before I got into a relationship with her, because she told me everything I wanted to know. That she's a liar and queen bee of the universe, or B-I-T-C-H of the universe. That pretty much tells you there's an ego problem in it. It's not just words. So, failed that test. About a year later, another test came by, and I appeared to have passed it because it was another narcissist that was going to ruin my life. And I said no. I said, I deserve better than this. Goodbye. And that's pleasing to me. I cope with it in a very unusual way. I wouldn't say unusual way. It's the only surefire way to get rid of it. But also, I did not have children with any of these people. It may have been a sexual relationship, but let's just say I'm not afraid to be alone. As people have heard me say, I'd rather be alone than with the wrong person. And I do believe that. So the quickest thing I can do is determine that you're the wrong person. So from a coping perspective, the first thing you do is you have to recognize that you're actually in a narcissistic abusive relationship. You can attempt, the next day date, according to what they say, you're supposed to put boundaries up. And I go, these people don't listen to boundaries at all. Only thing, the surefire way around that is no contact. Never, deuces, see you later. You don't even want them in your energy. Because when they're in energy, they keep causing trouble. You just don't know it. You can't tell me that my Annette that didn't actually get me fired out of my 2 jobs ago. Because out of the blue, my Christian boss, who was out of town, all of a sudden out of the blue, no rhyme or reason, got rid of me. Said, you're fired. No reason to do it. To the point where my boss that was local to me, my owner of the company, gave me a severance package because he didn't know why and he didn't want the blowback on the lawsuit. So, pay attention. So, can't tell me that something nefarious wasn't done there. And I'm pretty sure, actually, Jessica had nothing to do with that. Jessica actually did have something to do with it. Back when I was married, we went to a psychic. And the psychic told my youngest daughter that her dad, which was me, was going to leave her mom, which is her mom, for a younger woman. And that kind of like put the seed in there for like ever. And basically our relationship at that point, I was a cheating piece of crap no matter what happened, even though I've never cheated on her. I know what the effects are. I don't cheat. There's a reason for it. But logically, technically, when I left Annette, Jessica was the next one available. So technically, it is not wrong because Jessica was younger. I do believe a little bit of witchcraft and spell work was done on that one. And what was ironically funny is Jessica actually is a witch. So you kind of did it to your own. But what do I know? As much as she likes to pose as a Christian, you don't have poltergeists in your house for no reason. If you're that close to God, you wouldn't have that much of a reason. Anyway, back to coping. The only coping that I have found effective, for me anyway, was just to walk away. No contact, gone. There's other ways. You can go to therapy, but there's really no fixing the person that is the narcissist, other than them finding another source. And generally, a narcissist will not find another narcissist. Well, they recognize each other pretty well. So that's why it's a very parasitic relationship. What's troubling is if you're a victim of narcissistic abuse, you have a tendency to pass it on because you think it's normal. That's kind of the problem. It's not. But regardless, 10 years later, actually, I had a dream about Annette. And it was a very, I wouldn't say it was a crazy dream, but it was a test that I failed. Sometimes you'll get dreams to test to see how you will react. And I did not react very well. And let me tell you about the dream. It was Annette in her younger years, but when we first met. Basically, I picture her at a bus station. And I was in the bus station talking to another lady. He's saying, you can't let her in. You can't let her in. She's toxic. She'll screw up life. She'll screw up everything. Da, da, da. And basically, the person that I was talking to is just like, shh, raise your vibration. Listen, raise your vibration. Listen to music, raise your vibration. And I'm carrying on, no, she's toxic. And the person's just going, raise your vibration. And I kind of ignored it. Like, oh. And then I woke up, boom. And I was troubled by that, to the point where for the next couple days, I was pondering, why was I so triggered, even in a dream, by Annette? It's been 10 years. I kind of should be healed by now. And I kind of dug around and found out that, well, when you trust someone that deep, it hurts. The good news is I had another dream about 3 or 4 months ago. It was about Annette. Her picture popped in my head. And that's all I told her was, I really don't want a relationship with you anymore. Nice and calm and cool. I don't want a relationship with you anymore. I don't want you in my life. You're toxic. Love and light. Hope you repent. Good luck. And then my dream ended. And that dream was kind of a reminder that, okay, now you healed. But healing is, you have to figure out and accept why you do things. That's what healing really is. It's just an acceptance of, it happened. How do I stop this from keep impacting my life? And I do believe if I didn't actually heal from that, it would have blown into another relationship, because it blew into Jessica's relationship. Clearly. I had another narcissist. Another one wanted to come down a pike, and I said no. But ask yourself that. It's an interesting dream, because people can heal. You can ask yourself, okay, well, what did I heal? Well, I just acknowledged it. That's all you really have to do, is acknowledge it, and acknowledge that it does have an impact on you. And I said, I'll be the first one to tell you. Narcissism, it hurts. It made me feel worthless. Nothing I did mattered. As I said, I was lucky. Whenever negativity hits me, I convert that to positive things. I convert that to creativity and computers. So I'll learn a new language, I'll do whatever, whatever it needs to do. I take initiative and learn something new and move on. That is my MO throughout my entire lifetimes. And by the way, Jessica failed her mission because I outlived my death date. It's the date that I died last, in my last lifetime, with her. So essentially, we've never gotten this far. And it appears now that the rabbit's got the gun. So now it's karma's working its way the other way because they weren't supposed to do what they did, and they did. So, but that's not between me and her. It's between God and her. And that I think actually is done. I'm pretty sure she's going through the wood chipper. Her soul is going by. She's actually a past life enemy of mine that she decided to inject into my life. But I can't really say she injected herself because I let her be injected. So it's my fault also. And because I acknowledge that, I'm healing from it. But that is a dream I had. Also, you have to remember that there's a lot of effects to narcissistic abuse. They are pretty long term. The good news is the more distance you are away, the better off you are. The other thing you can do is you need a support system. Problem is that narcissists have a real big habit of separating you from your support system. It's you don't spend any time with me, not your friends. Well, maybe your friends are your support system. Think about it. So, as I said, whoever you trust, you may want to stay with them. If not, seek psychiatric help. Go see a counselor. Pretty sure they're going to tell you to walk away or run away as quickly as possible. Unless you have a legal reason to be with them, kids. Matter of fact, if you had a business, I'm pretty sure I'd tell you to sell it. If you're involving a narcissist and yourself in the same business. Because it's not going to work out the way you expected. Find someone to buy it. Walk away. Kids are a little worse because legality-wise, you're stuck with them. They're stuck. You're stuck with that bond. And they like having, bonds with kids. Because you're just making more and more narcissists. And I think actually that is what their job to do is to make more narcissists. But as I said, it's not necessarily it's a relatively new phenomenon, oddly enough. It's probably in the last 100 years has narcissism really kicked up. Because you can pass it on. So, anyway. That's all I have about that. But rest assured you could heal. What I've found effective, and you could say I did something unusual. I went and got a dog. And I think she's sleeping. There she is. I went and got a dog as a pup. I don't yell at her. I don't scream at her. I speak like this. When she does something wrong, I go, oh, what happened? We'll try it next time. And basically, she gets, based on the tone of my voice, she knows that she did something wrong and she wants, to do better by me. So she tries very hard not to do it again, no matter what it is. So she's kind of potty trained herself and everything. But literally, if you can get a pet, get one. I don't know if it's better to get a cat or a dog. It's kind of a rough deal. Ironically, what's funny about a dog is most women in a relationship will talk their boyfriends into getting a dog. And no one understands why, but there's actually a history lesson in that one, because how you treat a dog is how you're going to treat other people, or how to treat a child. So if you're going to get into a relationship with someone and you're going to have kids, you may want to get a dog first, because how they act is how they're going to act with a child. That's actually very psychologically and technically a dog is different than a cat, in that a dog is dependent on you, literally, for 10 plus years. So that's a commitment. Cat, not so much. Cat is a pretty independent animal. Other than feeding it every now and again, matter of fact, you can just throw a bowl out there with a lot of food and it'll be fine. They're more independent. Dogs are not. Dogs require attention. They kind of, act like a small child that never grows up. But you'd be surprised at how many people out there that are women who actually are alone and have a dog. And it makes me smile every time I see that because A, I got a dog. And B, it means you were smart enough to know, test a relationship with a dog. And 90% of the times that's what happened. And sometimes it goes really bad and they get a baby and then a dog. And it's like, oh, you just made things much worse now at this point. But anyway, I do strongly recommend getting a dog. And as long as you don't yell at the dog, you treat the dog like you'd want to be treated. And what will happen is slowly the narcissistic abuse will go away. And partially that's because you are starting to trust your dog. Your dog will also take the energy away. It's hard to say. It's kind of like when you're having a bad day, and you go over to you, and your dog recognizes that, comes up to you, and will try to take it away from you. It's not a terrible thing. It's just he's helping you. And we generally underestimate that. And I think actually that works with a cat too. We'll take the energy away. But you should try that. What I've also found effective is puzzles. You take a puzzle. My favorite was always a 200 piece because it would take about an hour to do. Or maybe an hour and a half. Take it and you just do the puzzle. Usually about 200 pieces, large print, because it's a big puzzle. And you just slowly go and do it, and you keep saying to yourself, I'd rather do this than be in a relationship with that person. And you're kind of just changing your focus from concentrating on this person to now thinking about yourself, and you're putting yourself first for once, which is a good thing. Oddly enough, I also found interesting about puzzles is that if you can take them, and I used to get 4 at a time of different themes. Like I'd have a theme for fish, a theme for deer, a theme for country living, or a theme for retro 80s stuff. I would get 4 different ones, and I would make them. And actually, there's a glue you can put on top of there. You can put a glue on top of it to keep all the pieces in place. I'd throw it in a frame and I'd put it on a wall. And that was my art from my apartment. I don't have a lot of artistic talent that I know of. But that appeased me. To the point where I actually had 200 pieces of them, and every now and again I would swap them out in 4s. Like it's okay, I want to switch to birds in this one. Or what was good was during the Christmas season, I would actually have Christmas ones up in the living room. The kitchen pretty much always had vegetables of some sort. But it's a thing to occupy your mind so you don't dwell too much on things. Because when you don't dwell on things happen easier for you and you heal more. You're more peaceful. Just food for thought. For lack of a better name, we'll call it puzzle therapy. There's a couple out there for healing. I don't remember what they're called. But they're for meditation ones out there. You can get those too. I think they're called Wise or something like that. Or Wellness or whatever. There's the name of the company. And really, it's all it is to calm you down. I used to watch TV while doing a puzzle. I was half watching TV, half doing a puzzle. Problem is, I've done the puzzle so many times, it becomes relaxing. And usually when you're alone and there's not much to do, you don't want to doom surf on the net. So it helps you out by relaxing you. It's not a terrible thing. But anyway, I digressed a little bit away from narcissism, but narcissism isn't a good thing. And you definitely don't want to pass that on to others. It seems to be very very commutative, I guess. It keeps getting passed around. I think as a collective society we have issues with narcissism, but I have faith that between the Lord and myself, the Lord and my spirit team. My spirit team has helped me a lot. it's telling me, do you want to go down that route again? Braver person than me. You know, when you start listening to your intuition, you're starting to get into less and less problems involving people. Because you start listening about the warnings. Because you have to remember, we don't know all the facts. The Lord and your spirit team, they hear it all. And they may not be able to tell you about it, but they will warn you that you shouldn't really be in a relationship with that person. Or you shouldn't have any deals with them whatsoever. Pay attention to the feelings you get when you're around people. So, anyway, I just thought that would help. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. And happy healing.